All right. You still see me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your support in this truly means the world to me. But I'm going to start my speech off with Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. So, 2 years ago, I had a severe traumatic brain injury, and I had that simply because I fell on the kitchen floor at work, and that was it. And about 20 minutes later, a guest came and found me, and I was unconscious and seizing. I had a bifrontal craniotomy, which is where they take off your top two skull pieces, and I had that done so my brain could expand. And I was in a coma for about 3 weeks, and many things happened during that time, but I won't get into all of it, I promise. But I'll share with you the main thing that happened in the first week of the coma. I had 3 strokes at the age of 34. So before all this happened, I used to be an avid half marathon runner and an obstacle course racer. I did Tough Mudders and Spartan races, and and I had a stroke. I had 3 strokes. So I had the thalamic stroke, I had the brainstem stroke, and lastly, I had a bilateral cerebellar stroke. So both hemispheres were damaged. And that was just week 1. So
Wow.
have you heard that, like, if you've ever talked to someone in a coma or touched their hand, that they'll know you're there, remember it, and quickly recover? There have been quite a few people who have come to me and said that they prayed over me, they talked to me, they sang out of tune to me, they cried
Yeah.
at my bedside, and they even held my hand. But
Mhm.
I don't remember any of it.
Mm.
But I am very appreciative of all of those things that they had done for me, and it couldn't have been easy on anyone. And I've come to understand and realize that I am not the only person who has gone through trauma.
Mm.
But let me share with you one thing that I do remember. And before I share it with you, I want to bring up Psalm 23, verse 2.
Mm.
So he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Now remember that.
Mm.
So what I remember in my coma, I was my former me, and I was standing on top of a hill, and there was a small stream in front of me, and there were trees behind it.
Mm.
And the colors of this place were so amazing.
Mm.
Like, I had nothing to compare it to. Nothing.
Mm.
And so I wanted to take it all in. And so I started scanning the environment. I started to the left and I slowly scanned and looked to the right. And as soon as I looked to the right, I saw a man standing beside the stream. And as soon as I saw him, he turned and looked at me.
Mm,
I did not have to shout to this man, "Who are you?"
mm,
I already knew. I
mm.
ran as fast as I could, and I'm getting the Jesus bumps right
Me
now,
too.
but I ran as fast as I could to him, and I fell at his feet, and he sat
Mhm.
down next to me, and we talked, we laughed,
Mm,
and I just felt so much peace with him. And
mm,
I knew that like I was with Jesus. Like
mm.
I felt so much peace. There was
Wow.
nothing going on in my head. Like we're just talking and laughing, and I even remember like running my fingers through the stream, and I remember how cool to the touch that water was. And it was so
Mm,
crystal clear. I could see like every little rock and stone in it.
mm.
It was so
Wow.
amazing. And
Mhm,
I don't know how long I was with Jesus. I mean, maybe it was only a few hours, a few days, a week, maybe it was the entire time I was in the coma, but I was at peace with him.
mm,
As the end drew near, he lifted my chin so my eyes could meet his, and with a deep look of care and concern, he said, "Have faith, daughter."
mm.
I woke up in an instant.
Wow.
I was hooked up to machines. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. And and this is the part I always say to everyone. I was bald. Like I, I was bald.
Mhm, mhm,
So let's go back to Jeremiah 29:11. I know
mhm,
the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. And then right to Psalm 23:2. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. And part
mhm,
of verse 3, he restores my soul. Now,
mhm,
I know that Jesus knew exactly what he was sending me back to. I mean,
mhm,
our Father had already gone before me. Every time a challenge or a trial comes before me in the past 2 years, and believe me, I've had many challenges.
mhm,
I
mhm,
close my eyes and think of his look and his words to me.
mhm,
Once I found out what had happened to me, I didn't know where to turn to. I was introduced to the brain injury connections of the Shenandoah Valley, and they like they instantly reached out to me and connected with me. And I learned so much through them. And they
mhm,
even, my case manager, she had introduced me to NICPAD, which is the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and
mhm,
Disability. And
Mhm.
I've learned even more, and not just about brain injuries, but about other things like Parkinson's disease and multiple
Mhm. You
sclerosis and
come with us?
spinal cord injuries. And it's been nice meeting others from across the nation. Ugh, hold on one second. Let me dab my
Mhm.
eyes. Uh,
Yep.
so I have to dab my eyes a lot because
Mhm.
I still can't close my eyes.
Right.
And so if it ever looks like I'm rolling my eyes, it's because I think that when I do that, I'm blinking.
Right.
So, but anyways, no, back on. But one thing though, I've come to notice and realize after talking to some people with brain injuries, it's like they've been so lost in their journey and they're angry and they're not connected with any specific support groups in their
Mhm.
area. I've
Mhm.
met others who need a specialized care for, speech or for transportation services or, like things like that. And I personally have come to know that it takes a village to get
Mhm.
through recovery successfully. So I've had, um, uh, oh my gosh, I've had a very long 2 years of meeting all these new people and hearing about their struggles. And I've
Mhm.
come to know personally, oh, yeah, like I said, it takes a village. Um,
Mhm.
and I've had many long talks with God in my war room, which is
Mhm.
also either my favorite closet or a sunroom. And
Mhm.
I know that he wanted me to do something, but I just didn't know what. It
Mhm.
wasn't until the end of spring this year that it came to my head that I had to do something to help other people. So if it weren't for brain injury connections, I would still be lost.
Mhm.
I wanted to help others get that kind of support for themselves. So I decided that I needed to create an organization to give others, like, connected to support groups, to case managers, to transportation services, to, other specialized care that they need. And when I
Mhm.
was thinking of these things I wanted to do, I could not for the life of me come up with a name. So
Mhm.
remember earlier when I said that Jesus told me, have faith, daughter,
Mhm.
my mind became stuck on the word faith. So I thought of Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the assurance of what is
Mhm.
hoped for, the conviction of things unseen. And
Yep.
this reminded me of so many who have been angry with God and they can't believe that such a loving God exists, but I know He exists. And I want to share that with so many others.
Mm.
All of this then led me to Matthew 17:20. I won't say it verbatim, but it's a little
Mhm.
something like this. Even if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you could tell this mountain over here to move over here, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, survivors of brain injury are faced with many situations that seem impossible. The past 2 years, I have leaned heavily on my faith, and God has brought me through those situations that seem impossible. I came up with the name Moving Mountains based on Jesus telling me to have faith in the scripture Matthew 17:20. Even if you have faith as small as a mustard seed. I
Mm-hmm.
did what I thought was going to be impossible. I
Mm-hmm.
created the nonprofit and said a little prayer and applied to be a 501c3. You should have seen the excitement on my face. Well, you can't, but you should have heard it from my voice that I received a letter and I heard from the IRS that my application had been approved. Since then, I have welcomed new members, connected them with support groups, and specialized care that they were seeking. We have raised almost $10,000. Not
Woohoo!
only do I want to connect them to support groups that they will need to help them thrive,
Mm-hmm.
but when we can, I would also like to be able to help them medically as it results to their injury
Mm-hmm.
because I know that all of that financial stress, it puts a
Mm-hmm.
huge burden on you. So
Yeah.
I also want to publicly speak on all positivity, and I will always remember my doctors telling me at Sheltering Arms positivity is crucial for your survival.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you briefly that I have already defeated two mortality rates. I'm working on number three, but with
Mm-hmm.
the positivity, we will get there. And I'm not supposed to make it to my 40th birthday, but I plan on having the biggest celebration when I turn 40.
Amen.
Yes. And as
Mm-hmm.
part of my positivity, I offer classes and book clubs on my website, and that is available to everyone. I also have a page of resources and have added my music therapy, and I go through Interesting Music Therapy, which they offer a free 12-week session to those
Mm-hmm.
with a brain injury in the state of Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they have also worked with some of my members that don't live in Virginia, and
Mm-hmm.
they have worked with their insurance to get them connected. But
Awesome.
yeah, and I have so many goals for the future that I
Mm.
want to achieve down the road. And so I
Yes.
continue my prayers to give me the right guidance and put the right people in my path. And
Mm-hmm.
God has been so great.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to thank you so much for hearing me my speech, for for watching the video for those who are watching the recording. And I know that good things will be happening. And I just ask for your prayers for God's will to be done.
Mhm.
And so I will play one last song. I will stop the recording. Hold on one second. Dun, dun. I will stop the recording.